Well, obviously, when I started on June 1st, driver service stations were still closed, and they had been closed for about 8 weeks. 2 weeks later, we opened them back up in the middle of June, and so we had about a 10-week backlog of driver services that needed to be provided again, and so we opened to long lines and delays. And starting out, of course, we did our, divided up the week by the alphabet letters in the last name, and that was really to flatten the curve, if you will. But we knew that we needed some long-term solutions, and then that was just a temporary answer. And so looking forward, we realized that a lot of people were showing up really early in the morning to come into driver services. They'd get there at 5, and by the time we opened at 8, there would be a line 200 people deep. And one of the ways we thought would be best to help spread that out was to offer people the opportunity to book a reservation. So we got with the programmers and we got with the folks in driver services, and they developed a program where now people can go online, set their reservation to come into a driver service station and get any service they need here, but they can do it on an appointment. And then that way they're not sitting in line and we're not creating lines. And we rolled that out October 1st statewide, and it's been great. We also started our Skip the Line campaign, which included that. We set up line cams where people can watch the cameras at the driver service station, and if they want to come up and be a walk-in to get their products, they don't want to make a reservation, they can look and see what kind of line is at the driver service station before they get there. And of course, for firearm permits, it used to be that anytime you did a renewal for your concealed carry permit, you had to come in and do your fingerprints again. We took that step out. We're utilizing fingerprints that were submitted the first time somebody got their concealed carry permit, and now we are making those be mailed in, utilizing the old fingerprints, and so you don't even have to come to a driver service station now to get your concealed carry permit renewed. Well, and it helps us because in the past we were also having to set aside a MBI agent, Mississippi Bureau of Investigation agent, to take the fingerprints, and so they're not available every day of the week to do that. And so we were only doing it on Wednesdays. And so now we don't have to utilize an MBI agent. We've taught the driver's license service examiners how to do the fingerprint. So even when you come in for your new one, we don't have to have an MBI agent waiting around to do the fingerprints. Our driver license service agents are doing that. And of course the mail-in, I had somebody text me the other day that they mailed it in. It took about 10 days and their firearm permit was sent back, and that was much better than waiting in line for 2 or 3 hours to get it done. Well, and I can tell you with driver services, the legislators passed some legislation that took Highway Patrol out of the Driver Services Bureau. So we are currently in the process of establishing an entirely new division with the Driver Services Bureau that's independent of the Highway Patrol. With that, we will be putting out a lot of job openings for regional managers, branch managers, and district directors. And that should be coming out here in the next couple of months as we try to set that up. The new law goes into effect July 1st. So we would encourage folks to keep an eye on that. If you think you have management skills from the business world and would like to come in and be part of the solution, we would love to have you at Driver Services. The bill they passed also mandated that we have mobile ID in effect by July 1st. We've been working on that. We're excited about mobile ID. In the future, you won't even have to have your driver's license with you. You'll be able to carry your mobile device, and you can have your ID on that, and it'll be a valid form of ID. And the great thing about it is when it comes time to renew, you'll be able to use the app to renew your ID. And so, and you can take your selfie, and it'll be your ID picture, and you can get the perfect picture before you turn it in, so you won't have to worry about a bad picture on your ID. Oh, absolutely. And right now we have about 18 highway patrolmen that are working in driver services. So they will be put back out into positions that, being law enforcement agents out in the field. And so we're excited that's going to happen. And we're also looking at doing a new trooper school. The reality is that we have about 500 troopers across the state. Last year we graduated, I want to say 23 from our cadet academy, our trooper academy, but we had over 30 retire. So we still had a negative effect on the number of troopers. And if you think about it, 500, once you include our MBI agents, You take them out of the equation, we're left with about 350, 340 road troopers. And we really need more because, if they're out on the road patrolling, writing tickets for those that are speeding, it makes everybody's trip to and from work. If you've got a college student in your family, they're going back and forth to Oxford or Starkville or Hattiesburg or Jackson State, it's going to be a safer trip for them, and that's really what it's about. And the more troopers we have out there, the safer our roads are and the safer our families are.
And y'all made some asks for funds for that and for the FY 2021 appropriation coming up. Also, medical examiners. We've added some. Can you speak some to the additions you've made there?
Absolutely. Coming in, I think the two things that I highlighted the most were driver's license services and what's happening at the crime lab and the medical examiner's office. We've seen a massive backlog in the cases that we're handling. And then at the medical examiner's office, the homicide rate is up. And there was a backlog of old autopsies that needed to be completed. We just hired Dr. Turner on the coast. She is a great pathologist, and we're happy to have her on board, and she's helping us work through that backlog. So now we have 3 pathologists. We're also looking to add some techs and assistants that can help get rid of it. I'm proud to report that we actually have started getting the autopsies completed, and now we're going to start working on those reports that we have to get done. And so we have available space at our state medical examiner's office. We don't have that backlog we had just 90 days ago, and Dr. Levon has done a great job there. We're also looking forward and looking for different ideas to maybe utilize other medical professionals to assist the pathologist. You look at nurse practitioners or physician assistants or nurses, and other states have done this, utilizing those medical experts as well to assist with the autopsies to help get the reports completed and out. Well, we've got the new state crime lab is out in Pearl. It's a wonderful facility, top of the line in tech. We actually went out there with Congressman Guest earlier in the week and visited with him. And so we looked at some of the things that they need, and really going forward, we look at DNA analysis as the future of solving crimes. So we've been on the forefront of building a major database with other states when it comes to DNA. If you commit a crime now, a violent crime, automatically upon arrest, your DNA is taken and is put into a national database that helps us solve crimes across the country. Yeah, I can tell you the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics, we appointed Colonel Stephen Maxwell, which is just very well respected in the law enforcement community, and he's doing a lot of great things there. We're working on building a new headquarters. As it stands, we have over 1,100 employees here at DPS. We have, I think, 9 actual divisions, but if you include MBI and some of the internal divisions, we're more like 13 or 14. And as it is now, we're spread out amongst different buildings, different cities. With this new headquarters, we're all going to be under one roof, and that's going to improve communications between our different law enforcement agencies. And it's also going to help us do a better job for local law enforcement. And the better we communicate amongst each other, the better we can relay information out to local law enforcement. Looking forward, Homeland Security has been a division of the Department of Public Safety that I see us doing more things to make sure that when we do have parades or rallies, that those events are secure and free from terrorist acts and things of that nature. And cybersecurity is going to be a big thing going forward. The Lieutenant Governor has tasked us, as well as the Speaker and the Governor, with coming up with a cyber team that's going to help protect Mississippi businesses and Mississippi government infrastructure from cyber attacks. And so we're excited about that. We've been meeting with officials at Mississippi State and their cyber department is trying to figure out how we can set up the best law enforcement agency to handle that. Coming on board, Colonel Gillard, who had been at the helm of Mississippi Highway Patrol, had announced that he was retiring. I knew in my mind, with my lack of true law enforcement background, it was going to be important to surround myself with strong law enforcement-minded leaders. Colonel Ginn, who had been the Lieutenant Colonel, was a natural choice and one that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and it's been great to work with as we've made this transition. I also brought in as one of my deputy commissioners, Keith Davis. He has a storied law enforcement background. He was a police chief of the city of Moss Point, the chief of the Marine Patrol at the Department of Marine Resources, and recently Michael Watson's chief of staff. And so bringing him on board has been great. He helps us with MBN, helps us oversee Homeland Security, and particularly with this transition of driver's license services has been very much a leader in trying to get all that done and set up. So he's been great to have on board. And even my Deputy Commissioner of Finance, Stephen McDevitt, my accountant, if you will, is a former law enforcement member. He was a investigator with the auditor's office, and that's how he started his career. He's now a CPA, but it was very important to me that those folks coming in had that law enforcement background, and together I think we really are pushing forward in the right direction, looking to make sure we're making the maximum use of our resources so that we can have better law enforcement out on the streets.